In 1986, a 22,000-ton general cargo vessel was sailing across the Atlantic. The conditions were excellent, with good visibility.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How are you tonight?
I'm alright.
Yeah. Right now we are on course 0812.
0812.
Speed about 15 knots, and next alteration will be 2007.
2007.
Yeah, everything is quiet.
Everything's quiet. Maybe till the old man comes up.
So I think it's all yours. Safe.
Thank you. See. MC?
Yes, sir.
Take the wheel. Port 10.
Port 10,
Stay 068.
068.
Yeah, that's right. Check, there's a ship on starboard, about 2 points. Yes, I've got strange. She's not showing any side lights, just 2 masthead lights. Must be a crossing vessel, not showing side lights. Vessel on my starboard bow. This is the eastbound vessel calling. Do you read me over?
When the third officer realized that there was a potential problem, and he could find no way to get the approaching ship's attention, he put his ship into the hand steering mode and ordered 10 degrees starboard helm. As his ship was turning to starboard, the approaching vessel altered its course to port, so increasing the risk of collision. He then ordered the helm hard to port.
Get the captain right away. We got a hell of a lot of problem.
With the ship turning to port, the approaching vessel altered her direction to starboard, so closing on her. This led directly to a collision where the cargo vessel was badly holed, causing an impossible situation with no hope of rectification. It took 12 hours for the ship finally to sink.
I just repeat to you that we are holding you and your vessel fully responsible for the collision that occurred last night. Do you copy?
In 1987, the international group of P&I clubs, who share the cost of very large claims, paid $83 million for these claims. By 1990, this figure had reached almost $300 million and has since improved. The Standard Club, who analyzed its own claims above $200,000, found that many of the claims were caused by human error and were avoidable. The International Maritime Organization has been looking at the problem of safety management and pollution prevention for some time now. Following the principles mapped out in ISO 9002, they have developed the Safety Management Code, which sets out procedures and requirements for shipboard management. During a conference in 1994, the code became part of the SOLAS Convention and will apply to all shipping lines and be enforced by the various port and flag states. The Standard Club already requires its members to subscribe to some fairly basic operating procedures as a condition of membership, and believes that owners who do not comply with the ISM Code by the due date will find it difficult to obtain first-class cover.
Yes, I think we've really got to raise a pretty substantial estimate on this one. It's going to cost millions rather than thousands.
Yes. Well, as soon as you've got some definite information, will you get a reserve on?
Yeah.
If you are telling me that you are not going to repair the hatch covers, then we cannot cover the risk.
The Safety Management Code has a 13-point philosophy, each point dealing with a specific component of safety management. The 10 main points refer to disclosure, company policy, commitment, decision-making, written instructions, level of authority, logistical support, emergency procedures, compliance, and verification. The company will need to define and document the lines of communications, the responsibility and authority of each employee, and the links between those involved in the safety management system. But the project will fail without enthusiasm from all staff, both ashore and afloat, and full commitment from the top. You will need to assign sufficient resources to develop both manuals and procedures.
What we have developed over the years.
The code requires the appointment of a shore-based designated person. He'll be responsible for running the management system and will be the direct link between ship and shore. He must have the independence and authority to report deficiencies to the highest level of management.
Safety must never be compromised, Captain.
He will need to explain to the shore staff and to the ship's senior officers the new procedures. And when these are up and running, audit them and listen to and sort out any problems. The overall company policy document will have to be broken down to show what the individual shipboard crew members' responsibilities are and how they should safely be carried out.
If I can relate to you a story I heard last week about a particular incident on one of the ships we manage.
The safety management system will involve developing on-board procedures and training for safe working and pollution prevention. These procedures may be more bureaucratic than current practice and, for example, require approval by a supervisor before working, but are designed to reduce or even eliminate accidents caused by human error. The two men who entered the enclosed space would be alive today if they had followed the permission to work system. This requires the atmosphere to be tested before entering. For the safety management system to work, all crew members must be aware that their individual contribution makes the difference between success and failure. To assist in this, a member of the designated person's team should visit each ship in the fleet and get the crew's help in drafting job descriptions and working procedures. The written job descriptions and safety procedures are finalized.
But the shipboard management manual is there for reference of all of us so that we know that we are doing everything correctly every time.
The company manual will be drafted in general terms, and the ship's master will need to study it before drafting his own standing instructions to complement the manual. A copy of these instructions will need to be sent to the designated person. Once the documentation is ready, the captain will need to make sure that every crew member is aware of his responsibility and duties, and ensure that they are drilled in the safety management systems. One of his first jobs will be to appoint a shipboard safety officer and to form a safety management committee.
Form a safety committee comprising of the senior officers, 2 members from the crew, including yourself, and call a meeting as quickly as possible so that we can formulate the safety working practices for this vessel.
We are here to discuss various safety aspects on board ship.
This committee should meet on a regular basis, and the master should make sure that a copy of the minutes from these meetings is sent to the shore-based designated person. The master should also have an ongoing communication with the shore-based management through the designated person on updating crew training and establishing refresher courses.
I can see your worry, but let me tell you that once we have this system in place and running, that problem won't exist.
But I've been working on this ship for 2 years and I've never seen an accident. What's the problem?
Well, I'm very pleased to hear that, but maybe you have been just a shade lucky. Soon we are going to break for coffee, so let me tell you about a couple of our colleagues who have not had the same luck as you. John was an engineer working for one of the larger shipping lines. His future was as secure as anyone's can be these days. And he was relaxed in his work, perhaps too relaxed.
Too relaxed? That's a laugh. Let me tell you what happened. We'd had an engine failure while we were in a busy shipping lane. To sort it out, we needed a part making, but in a hurry. The chief was going spare and the bridge were well and truly on his back. I always regarded it as my personal lathe, so I got a piece of metal and started to cut it to size. It's a job I'd done thousands of times with no problem. No problem. No goggles. Now no sight. Bloody stupid.
Ray was also a seaman and sort of prided himself on the speed that he could get the freight loaded. It didn't matter to him what sort of cargo, it was all the same to him, and he had adapted his part of the procedure to suit himself.
It's easy to be smart after the event, sitting in some nice cozy warm office. But you get out there and try it. You'll find everyone takes chances. I was just unlucky. The boss had told us that we'd only got a couple of hours to clear everything, or else we'd miss the tide and have to stay in that poxy place for another night. No way, mate. So I took down the safety rail that was getting in the way. And it was all going fine until that prick on the crane started to think for himself. No one told him to bring on that piece of equipment. No one was watching. So he knocked me down into the hold and lowered the bloody thing on top of me. I suppose I was lucky to get away with it, wasn't I?
So, was he lucky? Not in my book. Well, I mentioned coffee before. After the coffee, I'll go with you through the various sections and discuss any problems that you may have in detail. So let's meet here again after the coffee. You are sure that you have got all the latest corrections recorded in this chart?
Yes, it's updated.
A designated team member will need to go through the code with all the different sections of the crew to make sure they fully understand what is expected of them and why it is necessary. He has to ensure that the instructions set out by the company are followed and are working.
Get the fire blanket from here and we put it over the fire.
When the member of the designated team has left the ship, it is up to the crew to make the system work.
I'm just taking safety on here. Okay. When this biomesh was last cleaned? Last week. Last week. Hello, bosun. Yep. Are you trying to take the wire out of the drum? Yeah.
The ship's safety officer must raise any problems with safety at the regular meetings of the shipboard safety committee. Here, the crew will have the opportunity to update and improve procedures, and if there are any points that they don't understand, they can ask for clarification.
And as per the new regulation, when we have these documents in order, then the Classification Society will issue us a certificate.
Alongside the safety policy, the shipping company should establish procedures to identify, describe, and respond to potential emergency shipboard situations. Also, to establish programs for drills, exercises, and training to prepare for any emergency actions.
Yes, there was some very good comments came back from the ship. I think a lot of them spent a lot of time looking into some of the procedures that we'd proposed. So you'll find there's been a few incorporations in there.
As it's a loop system, the ship's master should report back to the designated person any accidents, hazardous occurrences, and all incidents that don't conform within the safety management system, and suggest modifications and improvements.
I will put it down in the mail from the next port for your approval, sir.
Thank you, Captain Metra, for your comments, and we'll take on board what you've said, and we look forward to receiving your detailed report.
Once the safety system is in place and activated, there is a need to establish and maintain procedures to control all documents and data which are relevant to the system. This means ensuring that valid documents are available at all relevant locations at sea and on shore. Changes to documents must be reviewed and approved by authorized personnel, and obsolete documents removed. As it's a recorded system, the company should carry out periodic internal audits to verify whether safety and pollution prevention activities are working. The person carrying out the audit should be independent of the area being audited, and the results and reviews should be brought to the attention of all personnel, having responsibility in the area involved.
Is the system causing you very much more paperwork or time?
Yes, there is paperwork, but it is for our safety. It is there, and it is also for the environment safety.
Well, gentlemen, the result of your hard work and effort is right here. The certificate has been issued to us.
The final step in the safety management systems integration is the issue of a document of compliance to the company and a safety management certificate to each ship. It doesn't stop here, though. It is a dynamic, constantly changing system which requires the involvement of every member of the company to make it work.
Yes, I will display it on the notice board.
Yeah.
Safety is the collective responsibility of all persons on board the ship, and not just the chief officer and the master. With a safety system in position, there will be a noticeable reduction in accidents to crew, to cargo, and to the ship. The aim of the ISM Code is to ensure that all shipping companies have in place an effective safety management system. Enforced by your flag state's administration, it will provide an international standard for the safe management and operation of ships and for pollution prevention. As with any system, though, if it's adapted to suit an individual's needs, and if just lip service is paid to its application, then there's still a chance of things going wrong.
Get the captain right away. We got a hell of a lot of problem.